All right. Chapter 9. You guys, we're almost done for this time around, but then we're going to start all over again. But this is chapter 9. Do not think in reverse. This is a great chapter. Really, really good reminder. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to read the mastermind principles. So let's see. Robin, do you want to start us off?
Yes, I will. Mastermind principles. I begin every mastermind meeting by reading these mastermind principles. I release. I release myself to the mastermind because I'm strong when I have others to help me. Next, I'll say, Ryan, are you there?
He's there.
Yes, indeed. I believe. I believe the combined intelligence of the mastermind creates a wisdom far beyond my own. Tina.
I understand. I understand that I will more easily create positive results in my life when I am open to looking at myself, my problems, and opportunities from another's point of view. Sophie.
I decide to release my desire totally and trust to the mastermind, and I am open to accepting new possibilities. Sarah.
I forgive. I forgive myself for mistakes I have made. I also forgive others who have hurt me in the past so I can move into the future with a clean slate. Mary?
I ask the mastermind to hear what I really want, my goals, my dreams, and my desires, and I hear my mastermind partner supporting me in my fulfillment. We have a newbie here. Victoria, would you like to read I accept? But you have to unmute yourself.
No, thanks for the reminder. I hi. I accept, I know, relax, and accept, believing that the working power of the mastermind will respond to my every need. I am grateful knowing this is so.
Perfect. And I'll read the last part, dedication and covenant. I now have a covenant in which it is agreed that the mastermind shall supply me with an abundance of all things necessary to live a success-filled and happy life. I dedicate myself to be of maximum service to God and my fellow human beings, to live in a manner that will set the highest example for others to follow, and to remain an open channel of God's will. I go forth with a spirit of enthusiasm, excitement, and expectancy. All right. Welcome, Victoria. How are you?
Hi, good, thank you.
You just signed up today. Fabulous. I love it. Well, welcome, welcome. So glad you're here. So this is
Thank you.
chapter 9, and don't worry, we're going to keep going after we finish chapter 10. But don't think in reverse is this chapter, and I want to read. I don't even have my glasses up here, so I'm going to squint my way through this, but I forgive on page 172. Um, Forgiveness is such a huge component of this chapter, and it's not forgiving others so much as it's forgiving ourselves, isn't it? And moving forward from things that may have upset us in the past or where we fell short and different things. So forgive. That slight misdeed of yesterday, why should it mar today? The thing he said, the thing you did, have long since passed away. For yesterday was but a trial. Today you will succeed, and from mistakes of yesterday will come some noble deed. Forgive yourself for thoughtlessness. Do not condemn the past, for it is gone with its mistakes. Their memory cannot last. Forget the failures and misdeed. From such experience rise. Why should you let your head be bowed? Lift up your heart and eyes. Such a good one, such a good one. And then he starts with this quote by Leland Val Vanderwall, who was one of his first mentors, and actually introduced the stick person to Bob, which is what we're going to talk about today in the Create Your Own Economy workshop today. So he says, let us not look back in anger, nor forward in fear, but around us in forgiveness. And when we are more mindful of the thoughts we think about everything that's going on around us, the world around us, things people do, the person who cut us off in traffic, the whatever it is that might bother us at some point today, if we are more mindful of how we see things, we can do what Vanderwall says. He says, do not look back in anger. So we can look back and go, oh, and maybe come from a place of understanding or compassion. and nor forward in fear. And we can step forward in faith, right? But around us in awareness. What's really going on? How am I seeing this? What am I doing? How am I thinking to see what's going on in this space? Because if we're aware of the vibration we're in, if we're aware of the thoughts that we're thinking, the attitude that we have in the current state of ourselves, we dictate what we see, we dictate how we feel about it, and we dictate how we think about it. So, what do you think about that quote? Do you feel like you have that ability to discern and to not react, but to respond to your environment? What do you think?
No, I
Ooh,
don't.
I love Sarah. You are so honest, and I think it's so good because I know you work on it all the time. So tell me, what do you mean by that? By that, no.
Um, well, when I am reading this or when I'm studying and going through all the things, I know this, and I say next time, I will do this, I'll do that. But the second that I'm taken back to some situation, to some hardship, to something, everything just got, I forget everything. And I'm just back there in that moment that I didn't know better, that
Mhm.
and that is kind of hard for me to let go. It's like, oh, I want to let it go. I burn my little things that I write and everything, but
Your
oh,
paradigm, yeah.
yeah, those.
Well, but here's the thing, and it's really interesting about this process. I was talking to somebody else the other day, and she said, "I just started showing up in a different way. I just started thinking a different way about stuff, and it almost sneaks up on you." So if you Bob tells us to repeat everything, right? He tells us to remind ourselves all the time of how to think and what to do and how to respond. And the more that we inundate ourselves with the material and do the work, it will eventually just show up. I was doing the dishes one day and I heard somebody say something and I just was doing the dishes and I went, huh, you know what? That would have bothered the old me. I don't know exactly when that time and place happened where I crossed over from it bothering me to it not bothering me, but all of a sudden it stopped bothering me. And I think, Sarah, if you are persistent, the theme of Magnet 30 this month, if you are persistent in the study and in thinking about the material and reminding yourself of the material and saying, what would Bob do? Or how would he say, you know, you'll find that over time it'll become part of your habit nature. Have you noticed any shifting?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not, I'm not making progress. I'm saying that for that split seconds, I still go
Ah,
back and get really, and then I have to bring myself out of it.
yeah.
But
Well,
I'm
guess
not at a
what?
place yet where I'm just, okay,
Hmm.
that's nice, right? And move on.
Well, let's just say that that takes longer to get to. That's
Okay.
nice. But at the same time, you're doing it because you are bringing yourself back. And that's really what it is. Wallace
Yeah,
D. Waddell says
yeah,
thinking is the hardest work there is. And that's why most people don't do it. Because when we really do what you just talked about, oh, ooh, I don't like that. Okay, now what do I do? Right? And then you feel it and then you're like, I don't want to feel that. So what do I want? Right? And you walk yourself back. And that's the work. And the more often that you do that, and you're on the right track for sure. I'm not saying that you're never going to feel anything in a negative way, but I am saying that you're going to be more versed in how to handle it, just like what you just said, right? And at some point, some things won't bother you. Some things still will if you allow them to, especially if it really hits deep down in there, right? There's a difference. That's all relative, isn't it?
yeah. I was just gonna say, there are things that I really it don't bother me. Um, but if it's anything that I ever felt shame over or felt really angry or that really hurt me, those are really, really hard, are the hardest for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, well, they're
so,
the deepest feelings, aren't they?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
shame is big for me. So every time, there's something that triggers that shame that I felt some time ago, that brings a lot of stuff.
I
Because
want to oh, go ahead.
the others, no, it's just, other things, it's easy. Like, I don't even watch the news. I really couldn't care less. I'm building my own economy. I don't care.
I know. I make up my own stuff. I know. That's how I feel too. I know my husband now prefaces almost every conversation that has like a political angle to it. He goes, I know you don't know this, but I feel like you should know what's going on. And so then he tells me, and I'm like, huh, okay. But he tells me that. He's like, I know you don't know, but it probably is a bummer to him that I don't participate anymore. But oh well, I'm happy. So I want to show you something. You mentioned shame, Sarah. And this is David Hawkins, sorry, Map of Consciousness. And I want you to see where shame is and guilt is way down here on the bottom left-hand side. That is like the worst feeling you can feel. And that, Sarah, I'm not saying that I'm not chastising you, but I'm saying that's why those take so much longer to heal from, right? It's below grief. It's below losing somebody you love. And that is important for us to understand, right? Because all of these levels of well, a feeling essentially of our consciousness, they're all relative to one another. So when we can see that this is, oh, when I felt shame about that, that was a very deep, deep feeling. So understand that and understand that you're climbing and that it'll take a little time to heal from those types of things. And sometimes we're our own worst enemy in that shame department, aren't we? Right? Yeah. Or guilt, and which are really close together. So I just thought that that was you said the word, and so I thought that that would be helpful for you to just see on a on a visual level. I would like a copy. Yeah, you can have, let me put this in the chat, okay? So I'll stop sharing and I'll put it in the chat. It's a really great, great document for sure. So let me find it quick and then I'll put it in there. Boop. Get in there. Okay. There we go. He's in there now. So that's a great one. And I just found it on and we use this inside of Proctor Gallagher when we're kind of explaining things and understanding our levels of enlightenment and things. So it's just helpful to see on a visual basis, kind of how you can get up and grow a little bit and understand too that some of those feelings, they're there and they're deep. And we have to understand and give ourselves some grace and heal from them, right? So good. Does anybody have any questions about that piece before we keep moving? No? Okay. All right. I have this entire first paragraph after Leland Val Vanderwaal's quote underlined with a star by it, and I have notes by it. So I'm going to read that too. He says, you will never obtain any substantial measure of material wealth if you insist upon living your life as if you were looking back through the rear view mirror of your automobile. Nevertheless, this seems to be a very common error, which many people have turned into a pernicious habit. That is to say, many of us spend most of our present moments floundering mentally in the time zone of the dead and should be forgotten past. Right? So memory is one of our intellectual faculties, and we can use all of our intellectual faculties to either our advantage or our disadvantage. And generally, most people who are swimming around in the past are using memory to their disadvantage because they bring up feelings of that guilt and shame that Sarah was kind of mentioning before, something that makes you remember, it triggers a memory, and you're like, ah, that's where I fell short, right? And so we trigger those types of memories. And what we need to do is, and that's how this study works, is continuously flood our mind with the new information that we want to reprogram ourselves with so that we're on autopilot the opposite way, right? So I take people through a process to create your self-image script. And what that's doing is creating a future memory. So when you have this scene that you craft and the feelings associated with it and the sense of pride and accomplishment that go with it and the sense of fulfillment of having that, you go to that place. So, mine, of course, I'm standing outside my back patio, my hot cup of coffee in my hand. I'm looking at my green pastures, right? And all of a sudden, I'm recalling something that I haven't yet physically experienced, but it's always the same memory. I created a memory out of something that hasn't happened yet. So we can start reconditioning ourselves to use our memory in a beneficial and forward-thinking way. That's a huge concept, and it's so wonderful. I'd love to answer any questions that anybody might have about that because it is a very powerful way of using that intellectual faculty. Most people think of memory as, I can't remember anybody's name, or thank God we have cell phones so I don't have to remember anybody's phone number anymore, right? All of those types of things. But memory is so much deeper than that. And I'm not sure that most people understand that. So, does anybody have any questions about memory or how you can use it in a different way? Or have you used it in a better way? Go ahead, Pat.
I think if we look back, there's a lesson in every situation. And if we look back to a situation that we experienced, what was the lesson that it taught us? What good did we take from it? And then let go of the rest of it. Don't drag it along with you. Don't put it in your backpack.
I like that. Don't put it in your backpack.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, every time we do that, we put another rock in our backpack.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And eventually, it's too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we get to control what goes in and out.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And I've always said to only take the memories with you that are going to serve you in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
That are going to help you go forward. And it's so easy to slip back into memories that don't serve us. But in the study, in continuing to keep our minds flooded with the good information, like what you just said, Pat, is going to help us move forward and to condition our mind in a better way.
Yeah.
And
if we worry about something in the future, there's a strong possibility that it will never, ever happen. So why waste your time worrying about it?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, Earl Nightingale talks about that in Lead the Field, and he says that it's, there's something like only 8% chance that anything that you think of and worry about in the future is even going to happen. Right. And that's so true. And I've heard something else where it says you punish yourself twice if you worry about it and then it happens. You suffer twice rather than only suffering the one time. If something bad-ish happens, right? But I do like what you said too, Pat, about the rock in the backpack, because before you said that, you said take the good out of it. And W. Clement Stone always said, that's good, no matter what happened. He said, that's good. And then he looked for it, whatever it was, right? And we can do that, and we knowingly can do that. It's not just rose-colored glasses. What it is understanding that there's a law of polarity in the universe and that everything is balanced. So if there's something so bad, there's something so good that's coming out of it. There's something that's equal and opposite to it, and it's up to us to look for it. But if we're not looking for it, if we're only focusing on how terrible it is and how bad we have it, we're never going to see the good. Even if it slapped us in the face, we wouldn't see it because we're not looking for it. Yeah. Anybody else have any comments about that part? Questions?
I was just going to say kind of what piggybacking on what Pat said, but for me, that those memories, whatever they are, have made me stronger over the years.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of
Yeah.
looking at the bad and continuing to look back, they've just made me stronger as I've gone forward.
That's good. That's good. Those experiences, right? Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah, they made you who you are. Absolutely. You know, I got divorced when I was 26, and I don't regret any of it because I am who I am because of it. I'm way better off, first of all. But you know what I'm saying? It might during the time it feels bad, right? But coming out of it, I'm a whole different person.
Yeah. And I was divorced in my 40s, and I've told my new husband, we dated, 12 years before or no, 10 years before we got married. But I've always said we met when we were supposed to meet because we are the people who we are now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I met my my current husband back when we were kids,
Exactly.
we had to do a lot of growing first. Let's just put it that way. You're so right, Tina. You're so right. And that's so true. That's so true. And we are who we are because of all the experiences that we've had and the strength that we've piled up over the years, the experiences and the ups and downs, and they've made us who we are. And I would even say that the struggles have like what Tina you were saying have made us stronger than the successes. Right? Yeah. I love it. Let's see, on page 174 in the middle, he says, also understand that all great achievers always expect to do great things, and then they turn around and do them. Do not be misled by your sensory factors. We are endowed with the same basic mental tools which the Wrights, the Edisons, and the Bells possessed, and we all have the God-given ability to employ these tools just as they did. So we have to understand, yes, we have senses, and yes, we can hear, see, smell, taste, and touch, and we can notice what's going on around us, and we can notice how good it is or how bad it is. And it's just information. We do with it what we choose to do with it. And we also have these intellectual faculties, right? I said memory is one of them, but we have six of them altogether. I was going to say six more, no, five more. And they all help us to do what Sarah was talking about, is talk her way into a better feeling state and a better way of responding to what's going on. And all of these intellectual faculties allow us, when we develop them and work on them and just keep at it, keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. And when we do that, we can train ourselves to respond to our environment rather than to react to our environment, right? So it's really quite wonderful. And it's really wonderful in this paragraph, he's talking about the fact that these geniuses have the same stuff that we have. We're not at a disadvantage. Edison didn't go to school. He got kicked out, right? So we're probably more advantaged than all these people who made these marvelous things that made our society skyrocket, right? We're better off. Bob always said to us as consultants, he said, you are way ahead of the game. I had to learn all this stuff on my own. And then he goes, I'm giving it to you, right? And it's so true, right? It's so true. When Andrew Carnegie was just doing this stuff, he didn't have a formula to follow. He just did things and it made sense and it worked. And so when Napoleon Hill compiled all of it, he took 20 years to compile all of it, studying the 500 most successful people in America. 20 years. That's a long time. And we are reaping the benefits. We can read one book and go, oh, I got it. Right? Except for the fact that we need to read it every day and all the time. Like Bob did. He read Think and Grow Rich every single day for 61 years. you imagine that? Not the whole thing, not an entire chapter, but he would at least open his book and then he would start talking. And sometimes that's how he would teach us as consultants. He would just pick up the book and go, all right, yep, I'm going to read this. And then he just taught us. And it was just brilliant the way that he could do something like that. So we have everything we need within us already. So when we call ourselves and feel that we might not be worthy or we can't do something, you have every ability to do it. You do. You just have to start looking for the answer. Because, like I said before, there's a law of polarity. Every question has an answer, every problem has a solution. There couldn't be a question without an answer already there. There couldn't be a problem if there wasn't already a solution ready and waiting for us to be seen, because it's balanced. Everything's already here. So the more that we study and the more that we remind ourselves of these truths, of these principles, of these laws, we can start relying on them. And we can start going, okay, yeah, if I really believe this, how would I think? How would I feel? How would I act? Right? In fact, mastery students went through an exercise last week, right? About take your goal and take what you're wanting to move forward with. And if I truly believed in the law, like the law of vibration, how would I think, feel, and act about my goal, towards my goal, right? If I really believed in the law of cause and effect, how would I think, feel, and act? So I encourage you to really take those laws and just pick them apart and ask yourself, how would I really be feeling and thinking and acting if I really believed it? If I had whole faith in this law of vibration, how would I be acting differently? And then start acting like it. And start thinking like it and start feeling like it, because that's the way it goes. That's the way we train ourselves. Okay. Does anybody have any questions about that part? Comments? Concerns, Sarah? Just kidding. Sarah always has a concern. And Sarah put in the chat that there's a Barbie with a horse. What? I
It's
wish
being
Lola.
it's being advertised now for Christmas, and
Oh,
so when I saw that, I thought, "Oh my gosh, Mary has even influenced the people at Barbie, at Mattel, whatever, whoever makes that damn thing." There are horses everywhere showing up in my life.
that's so funny. Well, I'm telling you, isn't that funny?
It's
Every
funny.
every time you guys all see horses, you think of me. And
Yep.
cardinals, right?
Yeah.
Cardinals too.
Over the weekend, I saw three people each on a horse. Looked like a husband and a wife and their daughter.
Aw.
I immediately thought of you three.
Aw. Yay. How fun. How fun. I love it. See? Okay. I want to talk about page 176. I have a star and it's underlined here too. He says, also, please be advised, you need not feel regret because you have not fully utilized this great power in the past. For the truth is, there are few people anywhere who understand the real truth concerning their own hidden resources. So remember, we talk about regret or whatever. None of that. There is only now. Now is the only time. So what are you going to do with it now? What are you going to do with this understanding now, moving forward? Don't regret now, right? So Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill talks about the fact that most people don't become money conscious and seek and attain actually success until their late 40s, 50s, and 60s. And the reason for that is, well, one, we haven't lived enough to accumulate this knowledge and understanding, right? Bob says ignorance is the only enemy we'll ever have is ignorance. So it takes us that long to get over that and to go, oh, I figured it out. And it doesn't matter who tells you what, we have to experience it. We have to We have to read about it, study about it, then apply it and experience it on our own. You know, coaching kids in the gym, if you would just do what I said the first time, you would have had it already, right? And they're like, "No, I had to go through all of the falls, all of the mishaps, all of the tears to get to this point because that's how we learn. We learn through failing. We do, and we have to allow ourselves that. That's okay, right? And so you are where you're supposed to be. Like Tina said, if we met 20 years ago, that wouldn't have been a good thing, right? We wouldn't have seen what we see in each other now. And I can totally attest to that. And it's true. Go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, I know we're not reading this book, but I thought this is really appropriate. Eh, do not be afraid of making mistakes or of temporary failures. All servo mechanisms achieve a goal by negative feedback or by going forward, making mistakes, and immediately correcting course.
Yes. Psychocybernetics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Isn't that great? I mean, you don't punish yourself for not finding the light switch on the wall quickly enough. You just move your hand, right?
Yeah.
You fail and you move your hand and then you find the switch. That's exactly what he's talking about. Thank you, Sarah. That's perfect. Because we have to we have to know that we have it in us to succeed, but we also have it in us to figure out how to succeed. We have to fail in order to move forward. We have to fail forward. It's the way it works. We're built that way. And really, how much sweeter is it to go through a little struggle and then make it? Doesn't it feel good? What if everything were handed to us on a silver platter? Yeah, Pat says. Go ahead, Sarah.
Uh, it's it's why a lot of people, I think that's why a lot of people say it's not about the end goal, it's about the journey.
Yeah.
Because it's about all the little things that you meet, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why Earl Nightingale says success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. It's moving forward towards it every day. He doesn't say it's being perfect every day. He says it's moving towards it every single day. And sometimes moving forward feels like it's moving back. Like, whoa, what's going on? Right. But once again, there's this law of polarity where when we move forward, guess what? The opposite shows up sometimes, actually, all the time. Depends on what we're looking at. And so then if we keep seeing the opposite of what we want, we just notice, I'm emotionally involved with the wrong thing. How do I fix that? And then you start thinking around it and you start training yourself to look to the other side. And that's really what this is all about is feedback. This is all feedback. Everything that we see around us is feedback as to what vibration we're putting off, what beacon we're being today, right? I was working with Lola on geometry yesterday, and she was so frustrated, and she was just like, oh, and almost crying. And I was like, okay, let's just slow down. You're not going to see the answer if you don't believe it's there, right? And she probably gets so annoyed with me because I'm just so calm. But at the same time, she stopped crying and she just went, and all of a sudden, within 3 minutes, she got it. But we can't see through tears. We can't. It's very hard. It's really hard to see a balance beam through tears, by the way. I've tried it. I usually fall. But you can't see the end if you're so focused on what's going wrong. So just use it as feedback and think, okay, how can I see more clearly? How can I see the answer that's in front of me? Where is it? Right? Sophie says, have a new kitchen going in. Yay! But have had parts of my vacuum cleaner broken. Another hole punched in the door at the same time. Well, guess what? Maybe stuff is clearing out so you can have more good stuff. Maybe have you wanted a new vacuum cleaner for a while? I love new vacuum cleaners. Maybe you want a new wall color. I don't know.
Yeah, the vacuum cleaner is actually only a couple of months old. So
Oh, well, maybe it's not the one for you.
maybe I just need a cleaner, right? Who can come and do the vacuuming?
Yes, I love it. I think that's fabulous. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Mm.
Yes. Okay. Any other comments or questions about what we were just talking about failing, failing forward, anything like that? No? Okay. So, do you remember Polaroids? This one is from 1998. It's probably, we used this Polaroid camera for 20 years at least. But this is my mom's house and it has Christmas lights on it, and I have it right here just for this chapter. So the Polaroid camera analogy is a really good one because he teaches us how our mind works in this. He says, I have often likened the human mind and the material world to a Polaroid camera and a photograph. For once you have snapped a picture, the course for the photograph has been incontrovertibly set. There is a short gestation period which must elapse, but then the photograph must begin to appear. And it will do so exactly as it had originally been shot, right? So we imagine something in our mind and it shows up. So he says to carry our analogy one step further, I would suggest that the shutter of the camera is quite like the conscious mind. In it, it is responsible for snapping the picture. Similarly, the camera itself may be likened to the subconscious mind because it is responsible for doing the work. How many of us think that we're responsible for doing the work? Yeah, guess what? We're not. We're responsible for setting it into motion and then acting from that vibration that we set into motion. But if we skip over that whole piece of uniting our conscious and our subconscious mind, then all we're doing is human efforting, and we are weak, so weak. It's just like the geometry thing. I can't do it, I can't do it. That's the human part. But allowing the answer to come, that's connection. That's hooking up to spirit, allowing it to flow through. And yeah, spirit works for geometry. It does. Spirit worked on my horse this morning. She was crazy, and then we calmed down, right? And then we had a great ride. But if I would have been like, I would have humaned it and it wouldn't have worked. And she would have been mad and it wouldn't have, she would have just, she probably would have bucked me off. But the fact is that we can calm things down. We can calm ourselves down, and when we do that, we can see through the hard times. We really can. We can let spirit shine through. But if we are so frustrated and so, "Oh, I got to work this, I got to figure it out, I got to do it, I got to do it," we're choking it off. Bob talks about kinking the hose. That's what it is, kinking the hose. We're not allowing that flow of energy. So he says, clearly, if you were able, or if you were to take a picture of the same object over and over again, you would do nothing more than reproduce the same photograph over and over again. Yet this is precisely the course which many people set for their own lives. Therefore, you must constantly be reminding yourself that if you persist in thinking in reverse, you will only reproduce the same results in your life over and over again. If you wish to change this pattern, on the other hand, you must look bravely into the bright future which lies ahead and see yourself already doing what you now only dream about doing someday. Right? So use this analogy as reminding yourself, ooh, am I taking the same picture? Ask yourself, am I taking the same picture? If you, for instance, expect your spouse to respond and or react in a certain way to a certain thing all the time, they're probably going to do it. But if you start seeing them in a different light, going, huh, maybe he'll like this time. Maybe this will be a happy thing, or maybe this will be a whatever different this time, and start imagining a different response out of them, you'll start seeing a different response, right? And if you decide that you're bad at geometry, guess what? You're gonna be bad at geometry. But if you start seeing the fact that there's an answer here, there's an answer, I just need to see it. You clear your mind and you clear that way for that energy to move. And that's really what we're doing, right? In the Mastermind Principles, it says, I remain an open channel of God's will. That's what that means. Allowing that pathway of energy to flow through us so we can do what we want to do. So it works on something as simple as geometry, but as big as $1 million. Doesn't matter what it is. It works. Promise. It's fun. It works with horses all the time. All right. The other form of thinking into reverse in reverse before we go is focusing on current results and saying, how this is the beginning of the month and I don't know how the end of the month's going to look and it's going to be terrible and I don't know how much money I'm going to have. Well, guess what? It's not the end of the month, so don't worry about it. This is just now. This is what it is now. Doesn't mean that it's the end all be all. Remember, right now is feedback. This is how I've been thinking up to this point. What do I want different? How can I change? How can I think differently? Think, feel, and act in a different way. Right? Does anybody have any questions, comments about this chapter? The end of December is going to be the best for me. Yay, Sophie. I'm so happy. Do you want to share with the group or no? It's okay if you do or you don't. It's up to you.
Sorry. Yeah.
Pause.
Monocle. Go, please. Sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to get my partner over here on a student visa, which he got declined for again.
Yeah, multiple times, right?
Twice where he's living, because he's in Uganda. So I'm actually going over there for Christmas. So I'm going to have the best Christmas and New Year. And we also have a really good agent with 100% success rate at partner visas. So he should be here hopefully by the end of next year. So,
Yay!
that's it.
Are you guys so excited for Sophie?
Yeah, it's going to be really good. So
That's awesome.
And we haven't seen each other in 2 years, so I'm really excited to be getting off the plane at Entebbe and jumping straight into his arms again. So,
oh, yay! I just got goosebumps.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Sophie. It's wonderful.
Thank you.
Yay! I love it. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing with us. All right. Does anybody else have any questions or comments about this one? No? This is a great chapter. And next week, we're finishing up with the Vacuum Law of Prosperity, chapter 10, which is phenomenal. And then I think we're going to take the rest of December off of Tuesdays, and then we'll start back up in January. Okay. So you can get caught up. You can watch stuff in the member portal and do all sorts of stuff like that. Go ahead, Pat.
In January, then do we start back on chapter 1?
Yep.
Okay, good. Because I come in after about 3 or 4, I think it was. Good.
Yeah. Yep. Perfect. Yeah. Great question. I love it. Yep. Yep. We just keep going. That's what we do. Just like what Bob says. Read it 100 times if you have to. Guess what? We're going to do it.
Good.
Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, I hope to see everybody else in a couple hours, or everybody here in a couple hours for the Create Your Own Economy challenge. I hope you had fun on day 1, and we're going to keep moving on day 2. Yahoo!
It's only an hour, right?
It's at 4 p. Yeah, it's in an hour. Yep, you're
Okay,
right.
okay.
You're right.
Yep.
I was like,
3
wait a
p.m.
minute.
Pacific. Yeah, 6 p.m. Eastern. You're right. You're right. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you later.
Thank you, Mary.